Trauma Therapist Podcast Plus listeners can listen to episodes early and ad-free right now. Become a Plus listener by going to Apple Podcasts, searching for the Trauma Therapist Podcast, and signing up today. Welcome to the Trauma Therapist Podcast, a show about the incredible people dedicated to helping those who have experienced trauma. My name is Guy McPherson, and my mission is to raise the awareness of trauma and to inspire each of us to help those around us. All right, here we go. So 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. All right, folks, welcome back to the podcast. Very excited to have as my guest today, Pam Buchanan. Pam, welcome.
Thank you. Great to be here.
Awesome. So Pam Buchanan founded Quantum Sense in May of 2023 with the goal of pioneering soul health innovations. She has 40 years of self-optimization experience along with a career that includes introducing mutual funds to banking and serving 15 years as managing director at Nasdaq. She's elevated her own energy to excel in a new paradigm, leading with positivity and letting go of the shame associated with the old ways of thinking. By recognizing that soul health encompasses more than just mental health and physical well-being, she's created an approach that is set to transform the way we understand and achieve overall health. Well, awesome. I mean, let's get into this. But before we do, share with the listeners where you're from originally and where you are currently.
Well, originally I am from Illinois. Grew up, born and raised in central Illinois, near Champaign-Urbana, which is the University of Illinois, so people may recognize that. And I have lived primarily in Chicago, but did spend about 10 years in Silicon Valley, out in California as well, but currently in the frigid temps of Chicago.
So reading your bio, it one easily gets the impression, and not all too familiar nowadays, where you've had all this experience in corporate and something shifted. You shifted, and we're talking about soul health. How did this start for you? This what did we call it? A new paradigm awareness?
Yeah, so I've really started, during my corporate career. I was a fan of Deepak Chopra back in the 80s, right? So all that self-awareness started back there in the 80s, and was an avid reader and just knew that, something was missing in terms of some depth of being, right? So
for you personally?
For me personally.
Okay.
For me personally. So just wanting to understand myself more, give back more of my true self, and survive in the corporate setting. As you know, back in the 80s, there weren't a lot of business women. And so, I was amongst my male counterparts and, working in a male-dominated environment primarily, and wanted to thrive. And so I just kept reading and taking in information and again, enjoying my career. So I truly enjoyed my career in finance and asset management, worked with 2 different companies, Deutsche Bank as well as Nasdaq, as you mentioned, and really enjoyed all aspects of that, but there were some struggles as well.
Okay, let's kind of put a frame around that. What are we talking about here? What kind of struggles? What was missing for you?
I think in terms of what was missing is, people being real, right? Let's not just play the game and pretend we're somebody we're not. Let's be real about our struggles, our pain, the angst of working, in corporate America, winning deals, losing deals. Let's all be real and in depth about this. So it's not all a bowl of cherries, as they say.
Right.
So I think in corporate America, you couldn't show your true feelings.
Right.
You had to, pick yourself back up and say, okay, got to go again. But wow, did that hurt, right? To lose a deal or to be in conflict with an associate.
And I guess one of the arguments here is that, well, there's a time and a place for that, Pam, right?
Yep.
Why are you bringing this into the office? Deal with that at home. So why was this important for you to bring into the workplace in a sense?
Well, it's who I am, right? I think I'm a sensitive being. I think that I want to know individuals at their truest level. So, and I was able to get there with my colleagues, right? A lot of colleagues would say, wow, I enjoyed our conversation and you really know me, who I am. And so once you validate a person and see them for who they are, they shine. They truly shine. So I tell people, you want to show your true self and be valued for that true self, because there's multi-dimensions of us, regardless of whatever position you hold.
Yeah, love this. Okay, so, and just to set some context here, when did this happen for you? How long had you been in corporate before, when this started arising for you, emerging for you?
I would say about 20 years.
It's crazy. It's not crazy, but we hear this all the time, but this is amazing.
Yeah.
So 20 years. Was there something that was there an event, or is this like a slow burn that?
Yeah, probably a slow burn. I think, you would enjoy moments, and then and then you had some tough moments, and that would take you back. And it's like finding that balance, right? I mean, life is hard, life is good, but let's just balance it all out. So I wanted that balance where I wouldn't take that home with me and then ruminate over it, right? Like just keep going over and over the negative versus the positive. So we're all real, and there's, as they say in entrepreneurship, if you're not failing, you're not succeeding. And I did have a boss tell me Pam, you should have told me. I neglected to mention something, a conversation I had with another executive. And he then, of course, had that conversation with the executive, and they came back to me and said, Pam, why didn't you tell me about this conversation? And I'm like, well, I didn't want it to look bad on me. I didn't want to bring you into the problem. And he said, no. You need to tell me, give me a heads up so that, one, I can defend you, or it's okay to make a mistake. It's okay. So again, you're validated. Wow, I don't have to hide, the bad comments and the situations. And so I think I learned from there too, you should be truthful up front. Not that you weren't truthful, but let's just get it all out there.
So you're reading Deepak, you're having these experiences at the workplace. How does this unfold? What do you start to do?
So I started living my truth and just speaking my truth in terms of, if I didn't like something, I would say it. And if you speak it out of truth and not out of ego or attack, people will listen to that. People will listen. So you don't always have to agree with what is happening. And you can add comments of that doesn't feel right to me. Can we discuss it further?
It takes a certain amount of courage to do that.
Yes, and you have to, we have it, as women, I fought to get a seat at the table. You got a seat at the table, but you have to speak up once you're at the table. You cannot sit back. You have to speak up, and your voice is important. So I think I learned that as I evolved into that. So
let's talk about quantum sense. How did that come about, and why?
So I left corporate America after 40 years. It was time to move on. It was right at the beginning of COVID. Little did I realize that the timing was COVID, because obviously the world changed. And I thought, why not, talk more about the true being. We're mind, body, and soul. Not just mind and body, but let's bring our soul. And I think that's what's missing in corporate America, is a person bringing their entire being to the party. And most people aren't comfortable talking about the soul. They don't know what their soul is, their soul essence. But, it's kindness, it's positivity, It's knowing who you are at your core.
Did you have a family at this time? Were you like married and
I
kids?
don't have a family. No.
Okay, so you weren't married ever?
Nope.
No
Nope.
kids?
No kids.
Solo Pam? Mm-hmm. Okay.
Evolving on my own.
Evolving on your own. So let's get back to, you kind of touched upon it a little bit, but how do you define soul? What is it? You said kindness and
So
stuff.
soul is your energy center. It's an energetic part of yourself that is within yourself. You own that part of you, just like you own your physical body. So I like to say, for your physical body, your heart, your lungs, your muscles, you go to a doctor, right? A medical doctor, but you don't give over your physical body to someone. You still own that, and you still have to take care of it. Mental body as well, right? Your mental facilities, you may go and talk to a therapist, but you still have to do the hard work, and it's still part of you. Soul, I find, people think that's religion. That's part of religion. It's not. It's part of you. So we need to be talking about it, just like you wouldn't give your physical body over and say, okay, here, doctor, here's my physical body. You wouldn't give that over to religion. Religion is a resource, but it's not your soul. So let's start talking about your soul as part of you.
So so talk more specifically about the genesis of quantum sense.
So Quantum Sense is a consulting firm. So I go in and consult, whether it is individuals or with groups, and I talk about the importance of knowing and bringing forth your whole being to everything that you do, and that includes your work. So, and how can you bring forth everything if you don't know about a certain part of yourself? Corporations have, club memberships, doctors, on staff that you can go to for your physical health. We now even have mental health facilities, right? You can talk freely about, I need a mental health day, I'm depressed, I'm taking this drug, the therapist, etc. But you don't have a part about the soul. And where do you go to talk about your soul, and what programs can you incorporate for your employees to get a better knowing of that? And so I start with the senses. And so I have a program that incorporates grounding yourself in your senses, elevating yourself into your highest energetic being, and then evolving to your soul's essence and purpose.
My guess is that there are some people who are like, what are you talking about? I don't want this. I don't want my employees in touch with their soul. They want to do that, Pam. Let them do it on their own time. But what are the benefits of having employees running? And I'm just speaking hyperbolic here in a sense. What is the benefits of having them running around feeling more in tune with themselves?
Well, you get a better commitment from that employee. They're committed because you understand them as a whole being, right? Why are you taking care of their physical health? Why are you taking care of their mental health? Because it's important what they bring to the office. So the third leg of that is the soul. So it's just as important as the physical and the mental. So obviously you want healthy employees physically so that they do show up. Mentally, you want healthy employees so that they can function at a higher level. And then the soul is a part of that. Something's missing, right? The surveys are saying again and again, employees are unhappy. So you're providing all these resources. They have comfortable surroundings to work in. What is missing? And I say it's soul and the soul health. And how we're evolving into the new paradigm. And we are creating a new future.
So what is, when you say new paradigm, what does that mean?
So, we all were born into a paradigm that was really based on survival. So, and survival of the fittest. And yes, that was necessary back in the dark ages. But now I would put out there that you and I don't have to wake up and figure out where we're going to get food.
Right.
So it's not survival mode. So how can we transition from survival mode to thrive mode? Well, the structures that have been built might be keeping us in survival mode. So whether that's corporate structures, political structures, so we're entering into a new phase where we can thrive at an elevated positive being instead of a negative survival being. So do you have the skills to do that? And it takes practice to learn how to be a part of the new paradigm that we are all creating. We're creating a future. And I like to say, when I was in Silicon Valley, I live the future. You know, we need inspirational, you know, people that think outside the box, and all these new tools that we're using. I'm sure that, you know, my grandmother never thought we'd be talking on a cell phone, you know, when they didn't even have, you know, telephones probably, or, you know, when Henry Ford invented the car, right? There were many people that said, what's wrong with horse and buggy?
Right.
So
A faster horse.
we need,
A faster horse. They don't need it.
faster horse.
Yeah.
But we need to continue to reinvent ourselves, and not just with products, physical products, but as part of our human structure. We need to continue to reinvent ourselves. And so that's what soul health is about, continuing to reinvent and add one more element to who you are as a person.
When you work with a company, first of all, who calls you? Who reaches out to you? What do they say? Obviously, it's going to be different in many answers, but generally speaking, what do they say? They call you up, Pam, we need to talk to us because...
You know, what is soul health? I first of all ask about what is soul health, what is your program like, what do you bring to the table? And when I say you have programs for physical health, you have programs for mental health, but do you have programs for soul health? And we all know the phrase mind, body, and soul. And soul does not belong to, it's not religious. Mm-hmm. So the number one obstacle I get is, oh, you're teetering into the religious aspect of people. And that's not true. Take back your soul.
Would you say it's a spiritual
being.
aspect?
You know, I don't use the word spiritual, but yes, if you want to say spirit, you can say spirit. I say soul because spirit does lean more towards religion, right? So if I say body, mind, and soul, I feel it encapsulates your humanness. Yeah. Your humanness versus, I'm not saying, you know, the resources available to help us in our humanness, right? And traditionally, again, there's many modes of medicine, right? So there's Western and Eastern medicine. Western medicine takes place, so you go, let's say you go to a Western medicine doctor, but someone else may go to the Eastern medicine doctor, right? And you may disagree on those concepts. Same with mental health. You know, what you know, products are you ingesting in your body, or is it the typical, you know, drugs that are manufactured? Is it natural essences? What are you doing? And the same with soul. You know, traditionally, I think people have given over their soul to the religious aspect of it. And maybe that was a start, but in this new dimension, the soul belongs to you. So take back your soul. How do you do that? Is you start with your senses. We all have our senses, and there's some neuroscience to this, there's some biology to this, there's some, you know, chemistry all related to this, but you take in, and let's say that you love the smell of lavender. Pine. Yeah. Let's say you love, that relaxes you, that makes you feel good. Let's say somebody else walks in and says, oh, what's that smell? That doesn't feel good to me. That makes me tense. So we're individuals in that, right? In terms of our senses. We're individuals in terms of our soul. So I'm an identical twin. So literally people have said, well, you're half a person. Well, my body is exactly like another person's body, right? Mm-hmm. Physically, we're in half, our DNA, the whole thing. Mentally, okay, you can say mentally pretty much the same. But what is different is our soul. So we're two individuals because of our soul.
Okay, let me hone in here. So you started talking about the senses. How do you help people get in touch with their soul? How do you work? Give us more specifics.
Yeah, so I take them through a series of questions that start with the senses. And we can spend a lot of time on that, right? So your senses are how you interact with your outside environment. And so I like to say, let's start outside in. So let's sit here. What are your surroundings? Are your surroundings uplifting, or is there some negative vibration to it? So what are you hearing? What are you seeing? What are you smelling? Because that does affect your overall being, right? If you walked into a dark, cluttered, smelly house, would you feel good when you walked in, or would your body go into probably automatic stress mode?
Right.
And so it's so simple, right? Like, fill your house with pine candles, right? That uplifts you. That doesn't take much, or essential oils. That makes you feel good. You know that. Why don't you incorporate that into your home? Let's say you love the color blue, but your home is brown and pink.
Right.
So does that make, so fill your home with blue items. Paint the walls, because there is science to that. You're taking that in through your senses, and you're either elevating your being or you're downgrading your being.
And obviously, I'm sorry to interrupt, but obviously this is something that many of us don't even think about. Right?
No,
so you're
automatically.
Right.
Yeah,
So you're inviting people to begin to become aware of their senses.
Yes, intentionally
impacts. Right.
become aware of your senses. And then once you start to do that, you'll start to notice the little things.
Yeah.
And then there's little tweaks. And corporations are doing this now.
Are they really?
They're putting in smell.
Wow.
Right? They're putting in senses, or sense. Say that
That's
fast.
tricky because people are different, right? People like scents.
People are different.
Yeah.
So there has to be a neutral type of scent. It can't be strong,
Okay.
but it has to be a neutralized scent, right?
Okay.
So just think about going into a store, and you know how some stores have scents,
Oh, yeah.
like overly perfumed
Yes.
scents, or
Yes.
and you're like, and
Yes.
some people say, oh, that feels good. Some people may
Yeah.
not. Well, the majority have to say it feels good because they want people coming back in.
Right.
But it becomes part of their brand. But also music, you know how music is piped in?
Sure.
So there's a reason to that. But let's take it a little bit deeper. Let's talk about the frequencies. Let's talk about the vibrations that, let's say, music, binaural beats are very popular. There's other ways to measure frequencies. And that truly does vibrate at a cellular level and uplift us. There's negative frequencies. So let's get the highest frequency we can. And you're almost creating a wellness bubble, right? You're creating a wellness bubble around you so that you continue to come from a base of high positive energetic being. So not only are you putting, you're going to put good food into your body, right? You know that going to McDonald's every day may not be the healthiest for you if you ate a hamburger and french fries every day versus let's go for lean meats and salmon and veggies and all of that, right? You know that to be true. And so I want it known to be true. The vibrations, the sounds, the smells, the sensory things that you incorporate into your life make a difference as well.
I'm speaking with Pam Buchanan. She's the founder of Quantum Sense. Okay, so as we kind of wind down here, Pam, give us, if you will, another leg of the stool in a sense. You talked about senses. What else do you broach for these people? What else do you invite them to become aware of?
So I talk about we all are energy. Nikola Tesla said that. All things are energy and nothing else matters. So, and I think it wasn't Steve Jobs that Tim Cook said, I manage my energy, not my time. So let's start talking about energy. And, what is your energy like in terms of just, okay, are you feeling tired, excited, energetic, non-energetic? But let's go to a deeper level too, and talk about your energy and how we manage that energy. So I think also the next box, if you will, is from senses to energy is where I go.
Now, I could just hear employers going, well, I don't want people working when they feel like they need to. I want them working when I want them to work,
Yes.
My guess.
I want them to work. You have to manage through that. I'm a big believer. Yes, absolutely. You have to put in the effort. You have to put in the work despite what your energy is feeling like, right?
Right.
But don't you want to be more at your higher energy self?
Right.
To contribute, right?
Right.
So what is taking away from your energy?
Right.
And
right.
how can you manage that?
Yeah, I love this. So,
Yeah.
do you feel this is where corporations are moving toward?
I do. I do.
Incorporating these elements and honoring these elements.
It's starting very slow.
Mm-hmm.
I'll admit. I think in the next 2 years it will begin to trend a little bit more. But yes, it will be where corporations will go.
Because
Yes.
it's not just good. I feel like I'm in a commercial now. Because it's not just good for the individual employee; it's good for the company as well.
Absolutely, it's good for the company. Because what is a company?
Right.
A company is made up of people.
Right.
So unless you have your people producing at a high level, you don't have a company.
Yeah. Now, I
So-
just want to take a step back here. When you started reading, you mentioned Deepak Chopra. I'm sure there were others you were reading as well. But how did this feel for you? Did this just feel like it just makes so much sense?
Yes.
I'm home.
Yes.
Were there challenges along the way? If so, what did they look like?
In terms of challenges, in terms of what?
In terms of, you talked about being real. I mean, that's to me, I love that statement, but it's not always easy, right? It's very difficult for us to be real.
No,
with
it
one
isn't.
another and with ourselves too. So I'm curious about
Absolutely.
your own process in moving
Yes.
through this.
Yeah, no, so it's not like I went and started saying, oh, I'm reading Deepak Chopra and this and elevating my being and all that.
Yeah.
I didn't do that at all.
Yeah.
It was just within me,
Sure.
like there's more. So how do I engage with my boss, my other colleagues, et cetera, et cetera? I was just me. But then I went back and said, oh, why did I get that emotion? Because it's all tied to emotion. Why is that making me angry? Why is that making me sad? Why did that person say that to me that way? Is he mad at me? It's like, you go through all of that. And then you come back to center and say, no, that may have been about he was having a bad day or she was having a bad day. I have to manage my own emotion. But can I go back and say, that didn't feel good to me. Is that how you meant it? Or, did I do something? Let's confront the hard conversations. So I was able to confront the hard conversations. And some people may have walked away and said, who knows why Pam's going over that again. She, that was yesterday. What I don't know what's going on. But for me, I needed to have that conversation.
Personal accountability.
And I did have a successful 40-year career. I had 2, jobs that were long-term. So
Right.
obviously, I did provide value. I worked really hard to provide value. I wanted to give back. I worked very hard. I was very loyal to both those companies, right?
Yeah.
And worked for them and took pride in that.
All right, Pam. Again, talking with Pam Buchanan. Her organization is called Quantum Sense. For those listeners who are interested in what you're doing, maybe want to learn more, what's the best way for them to reach out and contact you?
Go to my website, thequantumsense.com.
Okay.
And reach out via the website. Also, I have LinkedIn. Pam Buchanan or the Quantum Sense, and go and see what I'm talking about. I talk about innovative companies. I talk about books that I read. I talk about, how I am incorporating what we just talked about into, corporate, into the corporate world.
Awesome. Pam, thanks so much for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Inspiring. Love it. Love what you're doing.
Thank you. Thank you for having me, Guy.
All right. We'll be in touch.
Okay. Bye-bye.